What's going on, AP Human Geography e-learning students? This is Mr. Majewski. We're about to start our Week 2 activities. I wanted to give you a Week 2 overview video. I also wanted to introduce myself a little bit, tell you a little bit about me, so you know who I am. First off, this is my 11th year teaching in the AUHSD. I've taught at Anaheim High School for 6 years, and then I've taught at Katella High School for the last 5. And I teach social sciences, so I've taught all number of classes. I've taught AP Human Geography, AP United States History. I currently teach AP Government and Politics. In the past, I've taught regular world history, regular United States history, regular government, and regular econ. So I have taught a lot of subjects, but I got to tell you, this is by far the one that I have the most passion for, the one that I love the most. This is AP Human. I'm the one who actually brought AP Human Geography to the district. About 7 years ago, I started teaching it at Anaheim. It has since, I brought it over to Katella when I went over to Katella, and it is still taught at Anaheim as well. There are currently no other schools that are teaching it in our district, and that's why it's so exciting, and I'm so thrilled to be your teacher in this e-learning class because it gives you the opportunity to experience what I consider to be the most important, relevant, and necessary class that we can provide a high school student. So I want you to also know that I have a lot of experience with scoring AP exams for human geography. I've been an AP table leader for the last 7 years. So every summer I go and I score the AP exams. And I think that really does give me a lot of help and experience in helping you to succeed in this class. This class is technically offered to all grade levels, 9 to 12, although this year in e-learning, most of the students that are taking it are seniors. And that's a good thing because the senior pass rates are usually around 80 to 90%. So that is awesome. One last thing, even though the test, the AP exam, is in May, you should know this year that AP is requiring students to pay for the exam in November. So start thinking about that. Remember, this is a college level course. You do get the grade point average boost, right? And you do get college credit if you pass that AP exam at the end of the year. So if you're thinking about taking it, and I highly encourage it, start thinking about the money now, because obviously, as you know, if you pass, you save potentially thousands of dollars in taking this class. Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to let you know I have a really unique schedule. My schedule is, I'm open 2nd, 4th, and 6th period. So I have conference periods then. So if you ever need to contact me, please do so because I should be able to respond to you very quickly. In addition to that, I'm more than willing to meet with you, whether you come to my school site before, or I should say after school or during those conference periods, or even if you want to arrange for me to come to your school site if you're not at Katella, so I can provide additional support. I do teach a 0-period human geography course. Students are always welcome to come and sit in on those sessions. I will run numerous Saturday Academy sessions for my e-learning group, and I will always be willing to meet with you one-on-one if you need extra support. If you're not sure about material for a week, if you want to go over it in person with me, whatever you need, I am here for you folks. I am here to make sure that you succeed, and I am so excited for that opportunity. Okay, let's get into our Week 2 activities. Now this is where we actually get into human geography. And so what I have done is I've tried to make it a little easier for us. Schoology isn't really fully set up yet for us. And so because of that, some of the functions, some of the features are not always working the way that we want them to. We're going to need to be patient here the first couple of weeks. In order to try to smooth it along, to make it a little easier for you, I've created a summary page which really describes all of the activities that you're going to be doing this week. All of these are really specific to human geography. All right, so without further ado, when you are ready to begin the week's activities, and you want to start those right away, as early as Monday, you're going to come to the summary page. And the summary, like I said, is really just a review of everything that you can expect for this particular class. So again, watch the video. You're watching it, otherwise you wouldn't be hearing my voice right now. If you don't watch the video in its entirety, make sure you really pay attention to what's on this particular page, because again, I've tried to include hyperlinks I've tried to really make everything accessible directly through this page, but of course, as you can see, if you don't want to go on the summary page, all the activities are in order, right, directly underneath the link for the summary page. So, summary page is where it's all at, all right? And the blue, obviously, are hyperlinks, right? The red indicate deadlines. Hopefully it's all in a really easily digestible format. So first activity of the week is our weekly reflection journals. This is an e-learning requirement. This is not a Mr. Majewski requirement. And there are a few various parts to it. We will be doing weekly journals pretty much all year. It's one of the ways that the e-learning, whatever you want to call it, program likes to operate. So first off, there's a weekly calendar. You click on that link and just plan out your week, right? When are you going to tackle certain assignments? That calendar does come back directly to me. So I want to see folks on there either Monday or Tuesday, at least completing the calendar. Then reflection journals. Folks, you must have a daily reflection Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, really reflecting on what you're working on, what you've learned, what you still need to learn. Now, even though you need one for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm really not going to collect it until the end of the week. So if you want to save those till Thursday to write all three of them, I am actually fine with that. More importantly, there is a weekly reflection that you do, just one, sometime between Friday and Sunday. That one needs to be done in a little bit more completeness, right? We need a full paragraph there because that one gets graded for a lot more points. The dailies really only need to be a sentence or two, but the weeklies need to definitely be a paragraph minimum. Now, the process for the reflection journals is the same as last week. What you do is you click on a Google Doc and you make a copy of it, right? And then you type out your responses. Now, the beauty of this week's activity, right, is that I believe, hopefully if Schoology is working, that I have set it up in a way where once you are done with your journal, right, for the week, you should be able to send it right back to me as an assignment. One last final thing here. I have no idea what's going on with these numbers right here. Please just disregard the numbers there for the time being. I will try to clean this page up. As of right now, I'm not totally sure why it's looking the way that it does. So that's the journal. You should be pretty familiar with it. Okay, now 2.2 and 2.3, that's where we're really learning material, all right? And we're practicing material. And then 2.4 and 2.5 is where I assess you, all right, based on the material we've covered this week. So 2.4 and 2.5 are all quizzes for the most part, and there's a number of them. So you want to make sure you do activities 2.2 and 2.3 first so that you're in the best position to succeed for 2.4 and 2.5. So activity 2.2, understanding maps and map types. So what the summary here says is, and this is what we are going to follow, there's a 30-minute video you got to watch. It's titled Map Types and Purposes, or Maps, Maps, Maps. While you follow along on this on the Google Slides presentation, that corresponds to that video. While you're following along, you're going to be completing short descriptions of each of the map types that's described in the presentation. And you're going to do that on a Google Doc, and I'll show you where that is in a second. There's a hyperlink to it right there. Again, you need to make a copy of it, right? And then you're going to send it back to me once you are done. The absolute deadline is Sunday at 11:59 p.m. After you've completed that chart, you're going to do some practice, all right, to see whether you can spot different map types, whether you can identify them based on sight. Now, hey, this is all your practice, your review. There's no grade for that activity, so feel free to do it as many times as you want until you feel like you've got it down completely. So, 2.1 learning journals, we're done. We're on to 2.2. So just like the summary page indicated, right? I'm getting a special offer. Just like the summary page indicated, we've got the PowerPoint. We've got the map type chart. All right, and that's the chart you're going to click on. And let me just click on that right now to show it to you. Right, click on the chart. There we go. You can see it here in its full glory. You're going to make a copy of this to your own drive, right? And then you should be allowed to submit it directly back to me. So in the left column, what are the different map types that are being described? I've given you the first one, dot map, right? Then, what's the purpose of this map and characteristics of it, all right? Kind of like a summary of what that map is and why it is used. And then finally, different types of information that could be displayed with the map. Now, hey, you can make it personal, right? How you would use a dot map, what you might display with it. Or you can just use the examples that are in the presentation as some good examples of how that map could be used to explain human activity or human behavior. All right, back to the assignment, right? If we go back to, hopefully this will take us there, yes, to the 2.2 page. Then you're going to do a little thematic map review, all right? Now the review is actually a PDF. It's a PowerPoint along with a review. I want you to skip over the PowerPoint portion of it and go directly to the review practice questions. And I'm going to show you right now, if you scroll all the way down and you give Schoology a little time to catch up, you'll notice that the actual practice map activity begins right there on slide 36. All right, and then 36 and onward practice, just an FYI. If you want some more examples of the different map types, look at slides 1 through 35. All right, all in all, that is there for you. You can practice it over and over until you feel like you have those map types down, because there will be a quiz on this as part of the assessment tabs later on. One last thing on the map chart and the the Google Slides presentation. The presentation starts by describing these maps at the bottom. These are famous world maps, all right? And you're going to describe them, their purpose, ways to distinguish them from each other, all right? Obviously, all of them are going to have different types of error or distortion that you're going to need to be able to recognize. So that's actually the beginning of the presentation, even though those boxes are at the bottom of the page. And then after we get through those, we begin with the thematic type maps in the presentation. And the first one is dot map, and so you'll just fill them in from there. All right? Just an FYI, this last box is an extra one in case you make a mistake. So just know you're not going to use that unless you make some sort of mistake on one of the other thematic map areas. That's that with thematic maps and the review activity. One final thing we will be doing under this tab is you're going to go to a website called TrueSize, right? I want you to try it for yourself. And TrueSize is kind of a cool website. What it does is it takes a Mercator map, right? And it allows you to basically take countries from the map and be able to kind of move them around or manipulate them. So I'm going to clear the map there to start. All right, I'm going to make sure that I close that as well. And what you do here is you can either expand it or minimize it if you'd like. You can type in any location on Earth. So I'm going to take Greenland to start, right? And you take Greenland here on the map. I'm going to minimize it here. And you can move it, and it'll show you what its true land size is if it were located closer to the equator, where on the Mercator map shapes are more accurate. So look at that. That's actually the size of Greenland, right? Compared to what it appears like on the map itself. I want you to do that with a few countries, right? Like, I want you to just pick ones that you want to do. It doesn't even need to be countries. It could be states as well. Alaska, for instance, alrighty? Look at Alaska when you compare it to its actual size versus what it looks like on the edge, all right? It's pretty wild stuff going on there. And your task here, and this is kind of a fun activity, a fun task, I want you to see how many different countries or states you can fit inside the continent of Africa. So I want you to try to fit as many as possible without overlapping any of them and keeping them in the dimensions of Africa. All right? And the whole point of this is for you to realize just how big Africa is and just how wrong so many of our maps are when they demonstrate map size, or I should say when they distort the size of places, especially those towards the outer edges of the map. All right? It's a fun activity. You're going to find a lot of times you're playing around with it a lot longer than just the assignment. And your mind will be a little bit blown sometimes when you realize the true size of a lot of locations around the world. Once you are done with that activity, All right, I'm going to have you come back here. See, hopefully I can, maybe not. Once you are done with that activity, alrighty, it's going to take us back here to understanding maps. You're going to do a quick discussion post, right? How many non-African countries could you fit inside the continent of Africa? Which ones were you able to fit? I want you to list them, whether they're countries or states. And then how does this activity demonstrate the concept of map error and distortion? Specifically, what's being distorted, right, on this famous Mercator map. All right, so that's understanding map and map types. There are a series of steps that you must complete for it, right? So you want to get started on that pretty early during the week, if at all possible. Fun stuff. I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do. Now, third folder is 2.3, Applying Concepts, Place and Location. So again, we've got a short lecture video to watch. It's called Place and Location. I've included the slides with that as well. Now this PowerPoint, I should say this presentation, is going to discuss the concept of distortion in greater detail, right? And that's map error. It's going to discuss the concepts of place, location, and also latitude and longitude. Now, after you have completed the video, you're going to have a series of supplemental videos and comprehension activities. Supplemental's not a word, but supplemental is. And so let's go to 2-3 to see what I'm talking about. Well, first off, there's the video. All right, 30 minutes, 28 minutes. There's the PowerPoint that goes with that video. Also, during the video, I talk about a website and I go to it. And if you want to follow along on that website, or you would like to read what's on the website in greater detail, there is the link to that website. And you'll notice all of those are 2.3.1 because all three of those go together. Once you are finished with that, you need to come to a couple of other short videos. Now, these are not mine. These are from other sources, but they are fantastic. The first is Further Introduction to Latitude Longitude. It's about a 6 or 7 minute video. It's really kind of humorous and silly, but it's an excellent kind of intro to the concept. They do it in a really easily digestible, easy to understand way. Once you have watched that video, I'm going to ask that you come to 2.3.3, and that's another latitude-longitude video, only this one is specifically showing you how to figure it, all right? How to determine it on the map, how to find and plot locations using it. And you're going to need that because there's going to be a quiz on that you're going to have to complete. So if you don't know how to do that, and my video's not going to show you, but this one is, so it's really, really important. Now that video is about 15 minutes long, all right? Then some practice. So as part of the Google slide presentation, the 2.3.1 on place and location, I explained that there are different ways to determine the location of a place. And all this is having you do some practice based on what you have already learned in this folder. I'm going to ask you to identify ways to determine the location of a place. This is a Google Doc. It is complete practice. And you'll notice I've included the answer key on the next link as well, so you can check your answers immediately afterwards. You definitely want to do this practice, and you definitely want to check your answers, because once again, you're going to be doing this for real as part of the assessments for this week, as part of the quizzes along the way. If we go to the summary, once again, 2.4, weekly quizzes and other assessments. In order to be successful in this class, you also have to complete the textbook reading. You should have received a copy of the textbook. If you are a Catella student, you ought to have picked it up already. If you are not a Catella student, please shoot me an email, and I will be happy to send a copy of that book or deliver it myself over to you this week. If you don't have a copy, or you would rather not have a copy of the book, I will be scanning chapters throughout the year. So here is a scan of the Chapter 1 reading that you need for this week. It's effective, it's good. Sometimes I like to have the book in front of me personally, and you might be the same. Listen, in this class, particularly in an e-learning format, you must do the reading in this class. It is not an if, it is a must. If you want to be successful, you have to do the reading, because there's just no way that I can cover all material in an e-learning class without you having read the book. So the book's going to cover material that I do not during the week and that you may not cover through your rest of your activities. So to make sure you're doing your reading, we're going to have weekly reading quizzes. Every single week you will have assigned reading and you will have weekly quizzes. This week the quiz is on Chapter 1, the first 2 sections of it, the first half of it, Key Issue 1 and Key Issue 2. Now listen, you're seniors, most of you, and you know how to do this. You're smart, all right? But look, you need to take notes. You need to take notes on these chapters. I would take them probably in a Google Doc, but I would also maybe write them down if that works better for me. I would take notes, and you really need to take the notes on these chapters. They're easy to read. And the reason here is because, well, you want to use those notes on the reading quiz, right? So anyways, you've got this reading quiz to do. You need to do the reading beforehand, obviously, right? And you need to take notes, if at all possible. The second assessment and or quiz that you will be doing this week is a thematic map quiz, a map-type thematic map quiz. So this is really a quiz to assess whether you covered this material right here. So it's a quiz that has a number of different thematic and reference maps, a number of different world maps like Mercator, and you're going to be asked to distinguish them, to identify them, as well as know some basic information about maps in general. That will be covered through the videos and the reading this week. Lastly, mathematical location quiz. Yep, you're going to get a quiz where I'm going to give you coordinates, and you're going to have to place those coordinates on the map using latitude and longitude. And so it's important that you get that practice done, right, with the video that I talked about, so that you have this down entirely. So 3 separate quizzes as part of the 2.4 folder, right? There's the textbook reading again, if you don't want to access it through the summary page. And then there's the reading quiz from the textbook. There's the map types quiz, right, for thematic and other types of map. And then there's the mathematical location quiz. All of these are assessments. All of these you will be given a score for. All right? Finally, your final activity of the week, more map quizzes. Only these are a little bit different. Now, here's the thing. In human geography, we don't have to memorize every location in the world. We don't have to memorize capitals and things like that. But we have to have an idea of the regions of the world, very general regions, and then more specific ones. And we also need to know North America and South America, since there are not very many countries in either of those, and we need to know them all. So I've included a Google Doc here that shows you the countries that you need to know this week. All right, I'm going to click on this Google document really quickly to show it to you. And what you're looking at here is a list of regions followed by a list of countries. Now, the regions first. In the red, that's what we call our general world regions. Those are really just continents and oceans. All right. So you're going to be quizzed on that this week. So you need to know where North and South America and Asia and Oceania and Africa and these other locations are, as well as the oceans that are listed in red as well. If you're wondering, hey, Majewski, how do I find that? Like, how do I practice that? Well, good news. What I've done here is I've given you a practice for each of these that you can do over and over and over again. So if you click on the practice here, right, it's going to take you to a sample map where you can practice the maps, right, based on what it is that you are looking for. So we have a world regions quiz, right? I'll add the continents quiz as well, so I'll add the big general one. That one right there is the detailed quiz, all right? And then I will also add the big general one there. It doesn't look like it's up there right now. And so what you can do here is you can practice these over and over and over, right? Where's Paraguay? Oh, I'm going to say right there. Oh my gosh, I'm right. Where's Chile? Right, where's Ecuador? Well, I'm going to intentionally choose this one incorrectly. See, it says, oh, you have 2 more tries left, right? Oh, okay, well, maybe I'll try it. Oh, I don't know. How about right there? There we go. So the whole point here is learn these countries like they're the back of your hand so that you are good to go. Remember, this is practice, right? There's also a study mode that you can go to, right, where they're actually listed by name. So make sure you know South America. Make sure you know North America and the Caribbean as well. Once again, I want to draw your attention back to this map. The red is the general world regions you need to know. The black are the specific world regions you need to know, right? The North American Caribbean, these are the countries you need to know. And South America, those are the countries you need to know. All of these countries are listed accurately on the practice maps. So once again, I want to come back to my summary page, right? These are the links to the quizzes, all right? This is the Google Doc. But all you really want to do is practice, 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 practice. I would practice the general world regions first, and then I'd take the quiz, all right? Then I'd practice the detailed world regions, right there, and I would take the quiz. Then I would practice North and South America, and I would take the North America and Caribbean quiz, and then I would practice South America and probably take that one. But it's your choice as to which order you would like to go. All 4 of those quizzes are due Sunday by 11:59 p.m. So folks, there's a lot of stuff there. And by the way, if you didn't want to access these through the master page, you could just come to the 2.5 folder, and you're going to see all of those folders. I should say all of those quizzes are listed there, ready for you to take them. Folks, that is going to be it for this week. I suggest that you get started early and that you get started often, because the sooner that you begin all of these, the better it's going to be, especially if you have questions along the way. Hey, Mr. Majewski signing off. I am so excited to be a part of this with you. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns whatsoever. One last thing. There will be no group discussion this week because we do not have that function available in Schoology yet. When we do, we'll start getting together for some online discussions, but until then, I just plan on posting a weekly video for you to watch on your own time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and week. Please let me know if you have any questions.